I'm Roman Yossi of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Dante Fabro of the Nashville Predators.
This is Philip Forsberg of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Colton Sissons of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Eustace Aros of the Nashville Predators.
You're listening to the Renegades of Puck
with Crazy Charlie.
Welcome to the bunker. Welcome to the Renegades of Puck podcast. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier. And before we get to the No Half Step in hockey coverage, first, let me direct you to our home website, renegadesofpuck.com. Once you go to renegadesofpuck.com, you learn everything you need to know about the show. Once you're good and educated about the show, you click on that merchandise tab. It's going to take you straight to our classic logo tee, our pride logo t-shirt, our special event t-shirts, and so much more. All the gimmicks you've come to know and love and expect from the Renegades of Puck, all still available in our online store. Whether that's socks, throw pillows, wall art, bed sets, or frankly anything else, something like 88 different items with our logo on it. We call them gimmicks, and we've sold out so that you can buy in. So please help us out with some merchandise. Social media is of critical importance to this hockey operation, so listen up. Here's how you can support the Renegades of Puck. Please go to YouTube and give us a subscription right there. Turn on those notification button if you can. It sure would go a long way to helping us out. Stick taps, love, and respect to everybody who's helped us out on the YouTube side of things. You'll find our Renegades of Puck TV. You'll find our game analysis, our recaps, our previews, all of that available to you at the click of a button right there on YouTube. You can also find us on social media. We are on X, for whatever reason. We are also, because people still interact with us on there, that's why, and we'd like to leave, but people keep reacting and interacting with us on there, so we have to stay. We're also on Threads, where we would like to migrate to at some point in time. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all of those different places. Also, you can find the podcast in numerous spots. Just search Renegades Puck in your preferred platform today, or just go to Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon. That's just four of the many that we're on. So you can find the Renegades of Puck podcast in your favorite podcast platform today. Please thank us out going from local to global in the year 2023. Thanks to the Full Press NHL Network. Venmo, that's how you can support the Renegades of Puck financially. You can make a donation to the show, and we sure do appreciate everybody that has done so. We have made significant upgrades behind the scenes to our computer system, our docking station, all of the things that are involved with the efficiencies of the show and the technology of the show. We've improved all of them here in the month of December. We've now implemented, that's why you've seen the color for the videos being a little bit off. We're making adjustments on the fly as we go, and we're implementing the equipment in real time. So not a lot of rehearsal time, not a lot of practice time. We're making it go as it needs to. So the new computer definitely had me washed out with the lighting. We've fixed that setting, we hope, and we'll continue troubleshooting and working things and getting them exactly where we are. We did 266 episodes with the old computer, and it was time for some upgrades, and it was obvious once we started working with the new one. So again, Venmo, scan the QR code or just search Renegades of Puck, and I promise I won't ramble. Hey, if you send me $1, I'll stop rambling about Venmo. That's the old pro wrestler in me. Now, listen, I know it's long past time to get to the No Half Step in hockey coverage, so let me deliver the goods. It's time for operation number 833. That's right, time for show number 833. And at this moment in hockey history, the Nashville Predators currently find themselves in 5th place in the Central Division after 27 games. They have a record of 14-13-0, 28 points, has them 6 points behind first place Colorado Avalanche. Now, let me talk about the Central Division top down before we move on to the individual matchup, which, of course, you already know is against the Montreal Canadiens because of the second game back-to-back. The Nashville Predators finishing off that game in Toronto and now heading off to Montreal. No time to even think about anything. 6 points behind the Colorado Avalanche. So let's start with the Avalanche in first place after 27 games skated, the same number as the Preds. 19-6-2 is their record. 34 points has them 1 point clear of the second place Dallas Stars, who have 33. The Winnipeg Jets are in third place with 32. Then you'll find the Arizona Coyotes and Nashville Predators tied with 28. But because the Coyotes have only skated 26 times, the Preds have skated 27, and the Coyotes have a head-to-head victory from earlier in the season. The tiebreakers all in favor of the Arizona Coyotes. Going below the Nashville Predators at 5th place, you'll find 6th place, and that's the St. Louis Blues with 27 points, 1 point behind this Nashville Predators team. But the Minnesota Wild, 22 points in 7th, and Chicago Blackhawks, 19 points in 8th place, are starting to slip just a little bit. The real competition now is amongst the top 5 in the division, separated by just 6 points, 1st through 5th. Separated by 6 points. No, I'm not including St. Louis because I don't want to. The Nashville Predators' next matchup is going to take place on the road in Montreal, where they have a record of 5-7 on the season on road games, 85 goals scored total for the season, 85 goals given against for the season. It's the first of 2 against the Canadiens. The next one will take place at Bridgestone Arena. It won't take place until March the 5th. Now, once the Preds are done with this one game, second of back-to-backs in Montreal, back home for a one-night stand against Philadelphia at Bridgestone Arena. Friday in Carolina. So Tuesday to Friday, it's the first time the Predators have had a break in any time, and it's the only break they're going to have this month other than Christmas. So Friday at Carolina, Saturday home versus Washington. So another back-to-back, one on the road, one at home, and then the 21st at Philly, and then the 23rd versus Dallas. So the Preds will finish up their 2-game regular season series against the Philadelphia Flyers coming up between Tuesday and the 21st of December. So very quickly, the Preds will be done with the Flyers. Now, I mentioned the Montreal Canadiens, so let's bear down, let's bore down, let's microscope in, let's do whatever the hell we do on this show. The Canadiens are 12-12-3 here on the season. 27 points, has them 6th overall in the Atlantic Division. 6-8-1 on home ice, 75 goals scored, 95 against. That's a goal differential of -20. The Preds have no goal differential at all. They're even at 0. Now, taking a look inside the numbers and the rankings between these two teams, the Nashville Predators are going to be favored in every one of these statistical metrics. So we'll start on the Nashville Predators side of the ledger. Goals for 3.11 per game is 17th best in the league. Goals for Montreal, 2.67 is 27th overall in the league. Goals against Nashville Predators giving up 3.15 per game. That is 14th overall in the NHL, while Montreal is giving up 3.44 per game. That is 27th in the league. The Nashville Predators are generating 30.6 shots on net per game. That's 17th best, while the Montreal Canadiens are generating 28.4 shots on goal per game. That is 28th overall in the NHL. Preds at 30.6 shots against as well. Very even and symmetrical. Same shots for, same shots against is also the same ranking, 17th in the NHL. I sure hope I didn't copy that wrong. Shots against, 34.7 for Montreal is 30th rated in the NHL, and the lowest, tied for the lowest of all of their statistical metrics. When it comes to the special teams matchup, the Predators are actually favored in this one with the better of the statistical units in both categories. Power play, 20.6 conversion rate is 16th in the league, 21 out of 102 for the Nashville Predators, while Montreal is 17.5% conversion rate, 24th in the league, 17 scores on 97 opportunities. When it comes to the penalty kill, the Nashville Predators 75.3% kill rate is 26th rated overall in the National Hockey League, and they've given up 21 power play goals against. Now, typically, the Preds give up more power play goals than their opponent, but in this situation, the Preds are also ahead in that metric. 74% is the kill rate for Montreal, 30th is their ranking, and 26 power play goals against on the season is a very, very high number. If you're 5 goals higher than the Nashville Predators on power play goals against after what the Preds went through early in the season, then you are definitely having a tough time. Now, every team in the NHL has incredibly high-skilled individuals. There's no doubt about that. So what we always like to do at this moment is look at the top 5 scorers by statistics and statistical categories, and then the goaltending matchup before we wrap up the recap and before we wrap up the preview and we get to the recap. So the stats for the home team, Montreal Canadiens. Let's start with Suzuki, 8 goals and 14 assists. His 8 goals is tied for the team lead. His 14 assists is also tied for the team lead, but his 22 points are 2 ahead, and he's number 1 overall in scoring. Caulfield, 7 goals and 13 assists for 20 total points. Matheson has 5 goals and 14 assists, the other co-leader in assists for 19 total points. Monahan has 8 goals, the other co-leader with Suzuki, 4 total goals, plus 8 assists for 16 points, and Newhook, 7 and 6 for 13. Over on the Nashville Predators side of things, well, nothing has changed since the last game, and you'll know why when you stick around for the recap coming up in a couple of minutes. Forsberg, 14 and 16 for 30. O'Reilly, 12 goals, 10 assists for 22 points. The captain, Romeo, 6 and 14 for 20. Nyquist, 3 goals and 15 assists for 18 points. Luke Evangelista, 4 and 10 for 14. Now, anticipated matchup since both of these teams played yesterday. They are getting set to play again tonight. So it was Primeau in net for Montreal last night, picking up the victory, 46 out of 48 in Buffalo. So anticipated to have Montembeault in net today, 6-4-1 on the season, 9.12 save percentage, 2.78 goals against average. We saw Kevin Lankinen get beaten by the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-0 on Saturday. So we expect to see UC Saros in net here on Sunday. He has a record of 11-10-0, 9.04 save percentage, 2.93 goals against average. That's going to get you all set up for the Nashville Predators Montreal Canadiens. We've got to get to the Rebirth Sports full game recap on a back-to-back weekend when the games are less than 24 hours apart. We really got to hustle to get you all the information, all the intel, and we're going to get to the break. We're going to get back and get that recap in right away. We're coming back on the Renegades of Puck podcast.
Hockey players are as unique as the game itself, and your uniform should be tailored to fit you. Rebirth Sports is your sports apparel tailor. From shells, bags, warm-ups, hats, hoodies, branding, and more, let Rebirth Sports be your custom hockey tailor.
And don't forget to tell them they do more than just hockey.
Rebirth Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Rebirth Sport, a match made in hockey.
It's now time for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. We go all the way back to December 9th of the year 2023 when the Nashville Predators were in Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs for the second and final regular season of the meeting. Head coach Andrew Brunette deployed his lines in the following way: Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist; Sherwood, Novak, and Evangelista; Trennan, Sissons, and Smith; Parson and Glass back in the lineup, and Tomasino also on the fourth line. And then you see McDonough and Yossi, Luzon and Carrier back in the lineup. Barry and Shen make up your third defensive pairing. Kevin Lankinen gets the start on the road against the Leafs. Just 54 seconds in the game is Kevin Lankinen coming up with a save on Marner, the first shot on goal of the game at 2:25 of the first period. Samsonov coming up with his first save of the game, then coming on Luke Evangelista at 4:26 after the team skate up and down, trade a couple of chances. We see Lankinen come up with a save on Calle Yarncroke, former Nashville Predator, one of our favorites here on the show. 6:11 of the first period, Samsonov comes up with a save on Parson. 7:37, Samsonov comes with a save on O'Reilly at 8:06. Lankinen comes up with a save on Kampf at 10:25 of the first period. Already halfway through, Samsonov comes up with a save on Colton Sissons. At 11:57, we found our first special teams action of the game as McCabe is off to the box. 2 minutes for hooking. Samsonov would have to come up with a huge save on Colton Sissons during the Nashville Predators power play, but that would be it. Overall, a pretty solid PK by the Toronto Maple Leafs. At 12:49 of the first period, Lankinen coming up with a save on Gregor. That actually came shorthanded on the breakaway as part of that penalty kill. So again, an excellent job by the Toronto Maple Leafs in this scenario. At 14:24 of the first period, back to 5-on-5 action. Lankinen comes up with a save on Tavares at 15:26. Lankinen comes up with a save on Robertson at 16:42. Nylander hits the crossbar after a turnover. Lankinen went with the two-pad stack and kicked the foot up in the air, trying to do whatever he could to be a distraction, get himself in the way, make himself big, and it was his good friend, the crossbar, that helped him out. Nylander really with a significant rip on this shot right here. At 17:15 of the first period, it's Philip Forsberg off the box. 2 minutes for tripping on McCabe, the Nashville first penalty kill of the game. They would give up 0 shots against, and it would be a very strong penalty kill. We're going to hear that several times throughout this particular show. The Toronto Maple Leafs would outshoot the Nashville Predators 9-7 over the course of the first period, but we would have no score in this game. 45 seconds into the second period, it's Lankinen coming up with a save on Nyes at 2:25 of the second period. It's Carrier. He's off to the box. 2 minutes for tripping. We see the Toronto Maple Leafs highly skilled power play go back to work. It's Lankinen coming with a save on Nylander's one-timer, and then that would be it for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Overall, it would be another outstanding penalty kill by this Nashville Predators team. We'd see Samsonov at 4:50 coming up with a save on Smith. Samsonov at 7:12 coming up with a save on O'Reilly, getting in close and bringing the jam. At 8:15 of the second period, it's Shen off the box. 2 minutes for interference. He was, frankly, too aggressive on his defense and took the man in front of him just clean down to the ice. In some situations, maybe he gets away with that one, but that was too aggressive in this situation. Lankinen clocking in, and he's going to have to do some significant work right here. He first save comes up on Nylander. The second save he comes up with is on Tavares. The next save he comes up with is on Bertuzzi, and that would do it for the Leafs power play. By far the most effective power play they've had in this game, and the most effective the penalty killing of Kevin Lankinen had to be in this game. At 12:01 of the second period, Samsonov comes up with a save on McDonough, plus the follow-up by Nyquist just a couple of seconds later. And then at 14:15 of the second period, a breakthrough finally comes for the Toronto Maple Leafs as Kampf scores his third goal of the season, making it 1-0 in favor of the Leafs. A long pass helped him split the D, and then he drove to the net hard, using the defender and his body as a shield and getting off a great shot. Truly for Kampf, a great individual effort to take on two defenders and the goaltender and come away with the goal in this one. Hard-earned goal right here. 1-0 in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs. At 16:59 of the second period, it's Lankinen coming up with a save on Kampf. This time he does come up with a stop, but at 17:57, it's Matthews converting for the Toronto Maple Leafs again. Now, they're up 2-0 in this game. Matthews, his 17th goal of the season, was a backhand at the back door, and listen, I understand he is easily one of the most high-skilled individuals in this current age of hockey, but he made this look so casual and easy. that it was just gross. Matthews with his 17th of the season, truly a sick backhand, just tapping it in at the back door. Good passing by the Toronto Maple Leafs, again, to set that up. 2-0 in favor of the Leafs. At 18:05, Predators are going to have a chance to respond. They're going to get a power play when Tavares goes off to the box. 2 minutes for tripping. Tommy Novak, though, he's going to ring iron. Tommy Novak hits the post hard, and you would see a strong penalty kill by the Toronto Maple Leafs. It would be a number of shot blocks in the most critical areas of the ice. Going to the hard areas, the Nashville Predators were unable to get their shots through, only getting Novak's shot through, and that was off the post. So actually 0 shots on goal for the Nashville Predators on this penalty kill, on this power play. Penalty kill was for the Leafs. It would carry over for 5 seconds into the third period, but that doesn't really make a difference. At the end of the second period, Toronto is now out shooting Nashville. They're leading 2-0, but they're out shooting Nashville 22-13. 22-13. So the Preds went from 7 shots on goal in the first to 13. The Leafs went from 9 in the first to 22 in the second. We flip things over and we go to the backside of the sheet. We're going to take a look at what happened in the third period. Clean sheet of ice, 40 seconds in. It's Lankinen coming up with a save on Marner at 1:14 of the third period. Samsonov comes up with a save on Alex Carrier at 2:47 of the third period. It's Lankinen. He's coming up with a save on McCabe at 3:18 of the third period. It's Samsonov coming up with a save on Philip Forsberg. Good scoring opportunity right here, but unfortunately for the Nashville Predators at 4:55 of the third period, it's Luzon off to the box. 2 minutes for slashing. Lankinen back to work again, strong right here. Comes up with another save on Nylander. Follows that up a few seconds later with a save on Matthews. And the Nashville Predators penalty kill continues getting the work done in this game. We are at 8:03 of the third period. It's Lankinen coming up with a save on Robertson at 10:08. Midway through the third period now. Samsonov comes up with a save on O'Reilly. O'Reilly, one of the only Nashville Predators seeming to be able to break through and get shots on goal in this here game. 12:15 of the third period. Samsonov coming up with a save on Juuso Parssinen, 13:34. Lankinen comes up with a save on Tavares and a huge follow-up by the Leafs. Lankinen keeping his team at least reasonably in this game. 14:04 of the third period. It's going to be Sherwood versus McCabe. 5 minutes each. More of a fast-paced wrestling match than a true toe-to-toe tilt. But for these two players, they certainly got after each other. This developed when Sherwood saw McCabe take one of his teammates down. Didn't like it. They followed each other around the rink for a while. They talked about it quite a bit. Then they dropped the gloves and they got after each other. Again, it was a short but animated fight for sure. A lot of energy in that scrap. 5 minutes apiece. No power plays for either team coming out of that. 15:38 here of the third period. It's Ryan McDonough. He's off the box 2 minutes for hooking in without one of the Nashville Predators' best penalty killers on the rink. Lankinen would come up with a save on Riley, but then it would be Austin Matthews, his 18th goal of the season. And again, Matthews with just the sick wrist shot. He is just one of the most complete and high-skilled players in the game right now, and I'm glad the Nashville Predators only have to face off against him twice a season. He picks up his second goal of the game, his 18th of the season, and finishes this thing off with an absolute laser of a wrist shot. Lankinen never had a chance on this one. So for the first time in quite some time, the Preds give up a power play goal against. That gives the Leafs a 3-0 lead. Now, only thing left for the Nashville Predators at this point to see if they can at least get on the board. At 17:28, we see Benoit off to the box. 2 minutes for hooking, and unfortunately for the Nashville Predators, with the extra attacker on the empty net and having to sell all out to try to get on the board, they're not only unable to do so, but they give up a shorthanded empty net goal to Gregor, his 4th of the season. Now, believe me, when he's going for contract negotiations, they won't ask how. They'll only ask how many. So Gregor flipping the puck in shorthanded into the empty net. That gives Toronto a 4-0 lead in this game. And that's going to do it. Over the last couple of minutes, I didn't even take any further notes because it was obvious the Nashville Predators were not going to break through in this game. They just didn't seem to have their legs under them at any point in time. Let me give you the final. It's going to be 4-0 in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, the shots on goal disparity just becomes incredible. 37 for Toronto, 18 for the Nashville Predators. So the Predators had 13 at the end of the Predators went from 7 to 13 to 18 for the game, so only 5 shots on goal there in the third period, while the Maple Leafs went from 9 to 22. That would be 13, so 9 in the first, 13 in the second, to 37. Wait a minute. From 22 to 37 in the third period? Man, the Nashville Predators got dramatically outplayed in this one, and there were declining results as the game went along. Obviously, the Preds hung in until about the midpoint of the game. Then they gave up a couple of goals in the second, a couple of goals in the third period, and they were unable to find a way to defeat the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. They did defeat the Maple Leafs at Bridgestone Arena, so they get the split for the season series, and that's something that's becoming kind of a routine now for the Preds, getting season splits against teams that are much better than them in the standings and teams that they're perhaps not supposed to be competing against. That's something I'll talk about a little bit more here towards the end of the broadcast. But for the Nashville Predators, they fall 4-0 in Toronto. They're outshot 37-18. Now they'll have to move on. No time to think about this one. Got to just put the tape away, move on to Montreal, and get set for the Canadiens game. We'll have analysis and more coming up. We also have to get you set up for that Canadiens game. So you're listening to the Renegades of Puck podcast. That was the Rebirth Sports full game recap.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Tracy, owner-operator of Strong Style Fitness. And that's me and my training assistant, Rizzo. And we are here to bring you fitness that meets you where you are by offering circuit classes, bar-inspired classes, Tabata workouts, boot camps, guided stretching, and more, all taught by a certified personal trainer, me. To learn more, go to our website, strongstylefit.com. Subscribe on YouTube at Strong Style Fitness. Follow on social media at Strong Style Fit. But most importantly, let's get you moving. It doesn't matter if it's your first workout or you've been doing it for years. Strong Style Fitness has the workout that meets you on your journey and helps you along the path to a happier, healthier life. I understand where you've been, what you were going through, and where you were going, and I want to take you there. We'll see you on the mat. Mwah.
Welcome back in Renegades of Puck podcast. You've been through the intro and the setup for the Montreal game. We've taken you through the recap of the Toronto game. Now let's do some analysis on that Maple Leafs game. It was Lankinen getting the start, going for the rotation this weekend with a backup goaltender in the first of the two and the starting netminder in the second of two. That's the second time we've seen that in back-to-backs. We'll have to continue tracking that, see if that's a trend by Andrew Burnett. We'll have another opportunity to do that just next week. But for Lankinen, 33 out of 36. He gave up 3 goals against. 2 of those came to Austin Matthews. He had to make 10 power play saves, 2 shorthanded saves, including a breakaway. And you know what? This game was not his fault. The Nashville Predators didn't have it in for him. Lankinen hung in there and he fought. But again, he faced 37 shots in this game. He made 33 saves, 10 power play saves, 2 shorthanded, 21 even strength, not a 917 save percentage for the game. That's pretty good for Lankinen overall. Honestly, this game was not his fault, and the team in front of him did not perform to a very high level. Now, when I talk about the team that performed in front of him, there are no goals to talk about. There are no assists to talk about, so there's no scoring to talk about, but there are players who are able to execute their jobs, their functions at a high level, but they were not supported by the rest of the team. So it's going to be kind of a different analysis than you would normally expect, but there are some positives, and I do. In a 4-0 game, it's hard usually to find positive because most people only talk about the scoring, but when you go deeper and deeper into this game and this box score, you find a few players that really, really were doing their jobs incredibly well. And if their teammates had been also doing their jobs, the Nashville Predators would have had a better result on this day. O'Reilly generated 5 shots on net. Now listen, I just said it. The shots on goal for the game, 18. Yes, 18 for the Nashville Predators, with only 18 shots on goal, 5 of them going to O'Reilly. So the rest of the team only generated 13 shots on net outside of Ryan O'Reilly. He was one of the only players that was getting to the interior, getting scoring opportunities. And he's getting 20-22 in time on ice. I led all the forwards. He also gave 2 hits out, and he can't do it all alone. So if his teammates had been performing at a higher level around him, O'Reilly would have had a much stronger game. But 5 shots on goal, by far the most shots on goal and the most time on ice out of the forward group. Let's talk about Cole Smith. Cole Smith delivered 8 hits in this game. You want to talk about a physical presence, 15-16 in total time on ice, 326 of shorthanded time on ice, a strong performance. The 8 hits far surpasses anybody else in this entire game. So for Cole Smith, you've got to give him the stick taps for bringing the jam in this one. But it can't be all about bottom 6 forwards bringing the jam, because that's what we're going to continue talking about. Sherwood delivered 3 hits in this game, also had a scrap, 11-11 time on ice, and he was noticeable in only his 11-11 time on ice. I think Sherwood's noticeable often when he's out there on the rink. Honestly, that's all he got to do in this game. He didn't get a lot of shifts after he got in that fight. So Sherwood, got to give him credit. 3 hits in a fight, only 11 minutes of ice time, and he was noticeable in those 11 minutes when so many other Predators players were not. Colton Sissons, another one. He did his job. 2 shots on goal, 2 hits, 17-12 time on ice, 3:43 shorthanded time on ice. And if Colton Sissons puts up a performance like that and everyone else around him is performing at the level they're supposed to, then Colton Sissons looks great in this game. So, again, it's role players that were all able to do their jobs at the normal level, or in some cases a much higher level. 8 hits is a higher level than normal. Sissons going out there and the amount of shorthanded penalty killing that he did, he did his job in a very, very good and strong way. Alex Carrier back in the lineup. Wanted to talk about Alex as well. 2 shots on goal, 4 block shots, 16 minutes in time on ice, 3:14 of shorthanded time on ice. A fairly strong return. I expect him to round back into form and be back exactly where he left off before the injury. But Alex Carey was certainly developing with Luzon into one of the better young defensemen on this National Predators team. It's great to see him back in the lineup, and he puts up a good performance in his first game back. Again, the Predators defense in the bottom 6, they could not do it all, and the top 6 of the forwards just didn't have the legs in this game against the Leafs, just couldn't quite get their game going underneath them, and certainly didn't generate nearly enough shots on net. 18 shots on goal at the end of a game in Toronto, it's not enough. The Preds have been piling up shots as of late, so this one stands out as an outlier. I want to talk about the PK one more time. 4 out of 5. They're now moved up to 26th in the league, and they're continuing to improve. Now, listen, the Preds penalty kill was, 31st, right at 32nd in the league not that long ago, up to 26th. It takes a while to move up in the rankings, but 75.3% kill rate is getting respectable. 26th in the league is getting better, and the PK, if you've watched them these last few games, they are out there just doing yeoman's work. And when we get to the box score, I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time, more time than usual, pointing out just how much the PK is doing and how many minutes some of these players are putting up. And shocker, it's going to be a lot of the same players we were talking about here during this segment of analysis that were getting the job done. So that's going to do it for the analysis. When the team loses 4-0, only generates 18 shots on goal, to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot to talk about. It's the first night of a back-to-back in Canada from Toronto to Montreal. They've got to just forget about it. They've got to get over there, and they've got to win this next game, get the split for the weekend. But falling to Toronto 4-0, not looking particularly like they had a lot of energy or the skates underneath them, and the top 6 was virtually invisible outside of Ryan O'Reilly in this particular game. So for the Nashville Predators, throw it away, get back into the game tomorrow, win a game, get those 2 points, come on home, and face off against Philadelphia. We got the box score coming up. We've also got the close coming up, but before that, we got to hear from our great friends, Stripe Digital. Stripe Digital went way out of their way to help us with the brand new digital setup here, the brand new computer setup, making sure all of our programs were installed and working correctly, and that is so far above and beyond what a friend of the show typically would be willing to do. Great sponsor, Stripe Digital Solutions. The commercial's about to play. I'm just going to testimonial for myself real quick. Stripe Digital Solutions is easily one of the best in that realm today. If you need Stripe Digital Solutions, you should reach out. The information's all coming up in the commercial, and that's coming up right now. I want to get to that because Stripe Digital Solutions is worth the extra airtime. Right back, cold hard numbers of the box score, and we'll close it out on the Renegades of Puck podcast. The digital environment can be quite intimidating, time-consuming, and cumbersome, especially with all those other areas that need attention at your business, and that's why Stripe Digital Solutions is here to help. I know because that's exactly what Stripe Digital Solutions did for me and the Renegades of Puck. From designing my home website and helping me create my merchandise to special event posters, brand building, and social media management. But it's not just that, it's so much more. Stripe Digital Solutions has helped me every step of the way. From startup to full-time operation, Stripe Digital Solutions has been there to assist and advise every single step of the journey. In today's fast-paced world, the path to success is having a strong digital partner, and nobody is better in the trenches than Brandy and Stripe Digital Solutions. Get the solution before it's even a problem with Stripe Digital Solutions. Welcome back in, Renegades of Puck podcast. Now time for the good, cold, hard numbers known as the box score. Take a look at the box score. I didn't draw the big box around all the zeros in the goals and assist category, but no goals, no assists. That means there's not a whole lot to talk about in the glamour categories. Got you there. There is a lot to talk about, though. When it comes to some of the other statistical categories, let's get into it. The shots on goal, Ryan O'Reilly far and above the leader on this team in this game with 5. You also saw Parsonen with 2, Sissons with 2, and Carrier with 2. And that's virtually it for the Nashville Predators in shots on goal. So many zeros. When you see Evangelista, Forsberg, Glass all with one shot, Nyquist with one shot, Novak with no shots, that is not going to get it done for the offense when it comes to Nashville Predators. That's what the good cold hard numbers are revealing. It's the truth. The block shots for the game. Alex Carrier back in the lineup and back to work. 4 block shots leads the Nashville Predators. Schenn puts up 3. Philip Tomasino also blocks 2 in this game. Give Yossi credit for 2. Give McDonough credit for 2. Nobody else with more than 1. As a matter of fact, on the forward side of things, only one other forward, Cole Smith, had a block shot in this game entirety. In the hits category, I've already mentioned Cole Smith multiple times with his 8 hits in this game. Great physical component of the game. 5 hits for Luzon, 4 hits for Luke Schenn. Time on ice leaders. 2022 for O'Reilly, not a shock to see him leading all the forwards in time on ice. Sissons at 17-12 and Forsberg at 16-47. That's going to do it for the forwards. When it comes to the defense and time on ice leaders, is it a shock to see the captain Roman Josi 25-49 leading the team on ice. Ryan McDonough 21-42. Now, this is the category. I'm leaving the power play out completely because they were completely ineffective. I'm going to the penalty kill. I'm dedicating the power play's time of discussion over to the penalty kill unit because they earned it, and they deserve it. Ryan O'Reilly, 4:49 of shorthanded time on ice. Yakov Trenin, 4:14 shorthanded time on ice. Sissons, 3:43. Smith, 3:26. Nyquist, 1:42. Give every one of these forwards a lot of credit. Yes, they finally gave up a power play goal to Matthews on the 5th opportunity, but these players have been incredible and doing their job at an expert level as of late. On the defensive side of the PK, so many minutes, too many minutes. To be honest with you, that's something that needs to be addressed as well. Schenn at 4:06, McDonough at 4:23, Carrier 3:14, Luzon 3:38, Josi 2:53. All shorthanded time on ice. This is pretty incredible stuff by this Nashville Predators team. Unfortunately, on the final power play of the game for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Preds were only seconds away from finishing it off. They were unable to do so, so they go 4 out of 5 in this game. Now, in net, Lankinen 33 out of 36 officially. The 37th shot on net is into the empty net. So Lankinen makes 10 power play saves, 21 even strength saves, 2 shorthanded saves, a .917 save percentage for this individual game. And again, the loss is not hung on Lankinen in this game. Other numbers falling out of the box score, pretty easy to see this one. The power play, 0 for 3, very ineffective against this Maple Leafs team. 4 out of 5 on the PK. We just spent a lot of time talking about that, and I do think they deserve some extra stick taps. Face-off winning percentage is a concern to me lately. 44.2% when you have O'Reilly and Sissons out there taking routine face-offs. It's not good enough. They need to step things up, and the face-off dot is a point of the game that I take a lot of pride in breaking down and covering, and I've not seen the Predators be this poor at face-offs consistently in some time. You add Ryan O'Reilly to this team, they should be easily winning the face-off battle in every single game. Block shot, 16 for the Preds. Hits, 32, 8 of them by Cole Smith. Takeaways, 9. Giveaways, 14. You come out on the losing side of a score, you can usually look and find in the numbers where that started to happen. 14 giveaways is a very, very high number. 5 penalties against, 14 giveaways, 37 shots against. You can see why the Maple Leafs came away with the win. It's not hard to figure out when you go through the good, cold, hard numbers, the evidence that is the box score. Let's close this thing out, and I'll just say this as far as the hockey goes. It's a split with the New York Rangers, a split with Tampa Bay, a split with Toronto. Move on and win in Montreal. I just mentioned 3 of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, and the Predators have already played all 3 of those teams twice this season, and they managed to get a split. That's not something you're in the first 27 games when the team is in a full rebuild mode with a first-year head coach, a brand-new rookie GM, a whole lot of new players, new parts, young players. It was not anticipated or expected that the Predators would be able to split with the best team in the NHL, the New York Rangers, winning at Madison Square Garden, or split with Tampa Bay, defeating them the other night at home with a thrashing, or to beat the Maple Leafs on home ice. Now, listen, the Preds lost in Tampa, they lost in Toronto, and they don't have a winning record on the road. These are the types of things that is going to happen from time to time. But those 3 splits are indicative of a team trending in the right direction. Now, that's going to do it for the hockey. I'm going to spend just a few seconds on this. The reason we did not record last night, and anyone in the Middle Tennessee area knows already and understands what I'm about to say, the level of severity of the tornado outbreak that hit Nashville and just above where our studio is. No, the studio was not affected. We did have some power outages. We did have some inconveniences, but that's nothing compared to what much of our community went through. So I am a representative and a citizen of Middle Tennessee. I own a house here. I went to school here. I got married here. I own a business here. So it means a lot to me when things happen here in the Middle Tennessee area. And I'm going to take a second here on the show to say, I sure hope everybody's okay. I know I have a lot of viewers in the affected area. I have a lot of listeners in the affected area. And I could not sit down and do analysis and record a show last night while everything was still going on. Waking up today and finding out the tragic news of the storm and the amount of fatalities and injuries and damage involved in the storm. It's incredibly heartbreaking. It's incredibly sad. It's very tragic. And unfortunately, I've now lived here for over 20 years. I've lived through too many cycles of being in the line of a major tornado outbreak. It is a difficult thing to go through and to deal with, and that's if it misses your area. For the people affected by this, I hope everyone's okay. I'm going to spend the rest of my Sunday checking on people, getting out there, and maybe helping do some cleanup in my community. So I just wanted to take a second at the end of the show. It was too difficult to get out here and record last night while some of that was still going on. So I hope everyone's okay. I sure do appreciate and love everybody out there. And again, if you need us, the Renegades will be there to help you. So let us know if we can help in any small way other than being perhaps a 35-minute distraction during this episode of the podcast. So that's going to do it for this episode. I'm starting to get a little bit worked up about what happened last night again. So I don't want to get myself into that spot. So I'm going to say I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your viewership. And the most important thing of all is I appreciate each and every one of you for just being. And I hope that you're all safe. And I hope that everybody's okay today. Stick taps, love, and respect, Renegades. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier.